Hey, what's up, YouTube? Brother Minister Cepeda back to holler at you guys again. Thanks for tuning in. As you guys already know, I start by sending any potential new viewers to my website, which is treeoflifeoutreach.com. Check it out, read the bio, give the man upstairs his glory, his acknowledgments. That's what I do. That's the purpose of me sending you guys to the website. And for you guys that watch my videos, all my followers, you guys hear this intro every single day or every single time you touch on to watch one of my videos. I'm going to always put it there, whether you've seen it or whether you're familiar with it or not. It's my way of saying thanks to my Heavenly Father and to put Him at the head of everything that I do. Because if it wasn't for Him, you guys wouldn't be listening to me right now. So this is just a brief video I want to make and send to you guys that has to do with the U.S. economy. You know, we're in some real slippery and some trying times right now, as you guys know. Now the disease, the infection, however they're classifying it now at this particular moment, it's supposedly running rampant throughout our community. As you guys already know, it's shut down all the businesses. They've pumped in a so-called stimulus package, which I'll address here in a moment. And they did basically a stimulus package for the business owners too. Now this on its face looks pretty good. They're trying to help. They're doing all they can. But if you pull back the curtains, you can see that, you know, basically the emperor has no clothes. The emperor is butt naked. And that is because to send someone $1,200 who hasn't been to work in a month, who really even haven't been to work in just 2 weeks, that's kind of like a smack in the face when these people who haven't been to work for 2 weeks were already holding on by their fingernails, barely making it from check to check, and then you want to smack them in the face by giving them a $1,200 check that basically went to food in the last 2 weeks, in which and bills for the last 2 weeks that they wasn't able to work. So it would be like you're sinking in a boat, and someone drives by and they pass you a cup, you know, or even a bucket, depending on how big the boat is. Wow, and then they want to tell you how they help you out. You know, it's kind of really a smack in the face. Businesses are closing as fast as you can pick up a piece of pen and paper all across this nation. Restaurants, automotive shops, which a lot of them, although they're able to stay open, some of the smaller ones going under. You name it, gyms closing, except maybe some of the largest chains. People are hurting. People are really, really hurting. So while we are most grateful for the stimulus check that they sent out for both the citizens as well as the business owners, we're grateful for that. But at the same time, don't sit here and try and front like you've done more than what it is you've actually done. So we're just going to put that right to the forefront where it belongs. So obviously, with all these businesses closed and everything shut down, you can imagine the effect that that's having on the economy. You got President Trump right now saying and doing basically what he can to try and open the economy back up, open the businesses back up. And trust me, I'm not a huge fan of President Trump. I'm not a fan of President Trump, not even a small fan. Am I of his? But that's a whole different story. I'm not a fan of any presidents. It's just basically different arms of the same octopus. It's going to get you. So, having said that, you know, this economy is in a state of disarray, man. It really is. And you take that and you put it on top of an economy that was already barely hanging on. Now, I'm not going to get too deep with you guys with regards to what's commonly referred to and classified as conspiracy theories. Not in this as conspiracy theories. Not in this particular video, I'm not. But I'll do a whole slew of topics coming up, just depending on when I check my list or how I want to make my videos, or if the divine spirit moves me to go outside of the list that I have on the docket to be made, then I'll do that. But I got a whole slew of topics that you can classify, and it doesn't matter to me. You can classify me as a conspiracy theorist. You can classify my information as simply conspiracy theories. It doesn't matter to me, because nowadays it's just like that word hater. You know, somebody tell you, "Oh, that's my favorite car," and you tell them, "Oh man, that's not my favorite car. My favorite car is that car over there." "Oh, you a hater." It's ridiculous, and it's the same thing that when it comes to someone who putting forth some information that might be contrary to mainstream. Well, he's a conspiracy theory. He's a conspiracy theorist. Anytime you're investigating something that's outside of what most people believe, it's a conspiracy theory. How about it's just an old-fashioned dig, to get to the truth? So it doesn't matter to me what you classified as. I got a whole docket that's the size of the state of Texas, with regards to topics and insights and point of views that you may classify as conspiracy. If that's what you classified as, then so be it. So without getting too far off point, you take this disease, this infection, whatever they're classifying it as now, and you put it on top of an economy that was already on the brink. And there are those who believe that this is just a pretext for them to either steal money from the 98, 99% of us who are just average Joes, 95, 87, 98% of us that's just average Joes. They're trying to steal the wealth from the average Joe, the small business owners. And while we're sitting here in our houses because they told us we can't go out, and if we go out we got to practice safe distancing, when you look on them, they're always out. When you look at them, they're always out. They're not in a confined space. They tell us we should practice social distancing, but when you see them, they're always sitting at the same table. So what is this? Is this a blatant smack in the face like, hey, we're going to show you guys how ridiculous you guys really are. We're going to show you guys how highly we really think of y'all. We're going to say and enforce by law and penalties that you guys have to shut down your businesses, but we're going to keep our businesses open. You guys practice safe distances, but we're going to go on camera and on TV and let y'all see us hugging and sitting at the same table and going elbow to elbow. Is anybody seeing this? So again, to not get too far off topic and to just kind of use that information to set the table to where I'm going, some people are saying that this is all basically just an opportunity for them to keep us looking in this way while they piss down our backs and tell us that it's raining. And run all the small business owners and the average Joe into bankruptcy. Now the guy who's a small business owner who worked all of his life to either establish a business or maintain and try to grow the business that his parents established and left for him, now he's got a choice to either, given that they've made him stay at home, he has to either close his shop and basically lose it, or he can accept all these loans that the government got waiting on him with this incredible interest rate. So he basically don't own it no way. He got to take that loan and be paying towards a building that he owned and was basically debt free. So this economy is something that you guys want to be mindful of. And I know we're all to some degree mindful of it, but believe it or not, there are those who think that, well, once they open everything back up, everything's going back to normal. Well, everything can go back to normal if we decide that we're going to unite as human beings and let our government know that we appreciate you guys, but you guys don't need to govern my mentality. Government. You can't govern my mentality. So unless we unite with that message, then they're already conditioning society to where this is the new norm. So it's normal for the next time we decide that there's an outbreak of this or any other kind, or if we decide something happened on a criminal level, or we decide that we're running some tests and drills, or this kind of rain may be damaging, or what have you. We're prepping you guys for this new normal that says we can tell you guys to put down your ball, leave the playground, go home and stay there. Because this is what they're doing. They're treating us as if we're kids. So be careful in this, in these times. Because you take that and you pile this disease, this infection. Once again, it's one day it's a disease, the next day it's an infection. You know, it's whatever's trending. They change the narrative on it and the wording of it on a regular basis. So whatever they're referring to it as now, and then you put all of the financial ramifications that are associated with that as a result of all these businesses being shut down. You take all that and you pile it onto an economy, onto an economy that was already basically a house of cards. If one thing slips up and falls out of balance, the entire thing comes crashing down. So again, there are those who believe that this is just a pretext in order for them to move money, switch money around, and do basically another bailout. See, they couldn't just come out and bail out all these companies that they're bailing out now, doing this lockdown and the spread of this disease or whatnot. They couldn't just openly do that because the same companies that they bailed out 10, 12 years ago are the same companies that they're bailing out now. But they knew there would be a social uproar amongst the grassroots people, the average Joes, who would say, hey, wait a minute. We just closed down all the moms and pops stores, 12 years ago. And you bailed out Enron and the rest of them guys. 15 years ago, however long it's been. You bailed all them guys out with all our money. We didn't get a dime, and now you're going to turn around and bail them out again? There probably would have been too many protesters in the street had they did it that way. So they needed a pretext to close everything down. And now we have to help them out, because everything's been closed down, and this is the mainstream. This is the lifeblood of our economy. Is anybody paying attention to this? Yes, there are, because there's a myriad of YouTube channels right there on YouTube who are addressing this on a regular basis. But as it applies to just the average Joes, is there anybody paying attention to this? Is there people paying attention to this, but they're afraid to say something? Afraid to go in and open the shop that they worked from a very young adult, put their blood, sweat, and tears into establishing? They're so afraid to open their doors that when they hear people like me speaking and people like some of the other co-thinkers on YouTube or wherever they exist, or let's label him, as a conspiracy theorist. All these people who's talking this about the government, these guys are a bunch of basket cases. They're a bunch of basket cases. Because the government will never do us wrong. They will never lie about the attack and the war of Tonka, if I'm pronouncing it right, in Vietnam. They'll never lie about the Tuskegee experiments. Not the government. The government will never lie about the things they did behind the scenes to basically choke the life out of Japan in order to put Japan in a place where it had absolutely no choice other than to bomb Pearl Harbor or go broke and starve its people starve and its country collapse. See, our government would never do anything like that. So by golly, by gee, those guys that are saying it's a conspiracy, those guys are a bunch of whack jobs. Perhaps you're the whack job. You're afraid to look in the mirror. You're the coward to see that this American economy and the U.S. global economy basically is so intertwined now. It's basically the same thing. But you're a coward. You won't look in the mirror and face this. You won't even go get the keys to your shop and go open your shop up and be willing to take what it takes, fines, jail time, penalties against your company in order for you to stand up for what you believe in. But the moment someone comes along standing up for what they believe in and putting the word out, you try and label them. How about you take a quick look in the mirror? Because all this stuff running together, when they do tell you that you can open up your shop and you go in there like the nice little hush puppy that you are, you best be praying that the Almighty, the one true and living divine creator, will have mercy upon you and me and the average Joes out here. Because these people is not playing with you. And guess what? They're not playing with me either. So all this different stuff going on and you're thinking things are going to go back to the normal. They're trying to prime you to where this is your new normal. We'll shut down your shop next week if you want. Every time you turn on the news, President Trump is talking about opening the country. They got 5 or 10 people saying, yeah, when he open it, there's going to be an outbreak and we're going to have to shut back. We're going to have to shut down 5 times as harder and 5 times as long. So what are we talking about here? If you are thinking that once they reopen these businesses and they reopen the commerce highway and interstate, that things are just going to go back to normal and everybody's going to be sitting grand, hey, you got another thing coming. The banks and the economy as a whole was already hanging on by a thread. Hanging on, barely hanging on. And I'm not utilizing mainstream news in order to bring this information to you guys. This didn't come from the mainstream. 99.999% of the topics that I address and the views that I have is not mainstream. Because mainstream, for the most part, is just a horse and pony show. But it keeps working for them, so why would they change it? We're going to give you a new president. This president does the same thing that the last president did to you, but from a different angle. Then the next guy gets up there and talks about change and making this a better country. He does the same exact thing from a different standpoint. So I got videos coming down the pipe for such topics, but as it relates to this economy, hey, be cautious. Keep you some cash on hand. If you have the ability or capability to amass any amount of silver or gold, you should do so. You should not be sitting around putting all of your money or most of your money in banks and this and that, because the banks can shut down like that. Corrections. The banks can shut down a lot faster than that. And for those of you who have all your money in the bank, okay, I don't have to explain that part to you. There's a such thing called a bailout, and there's a such thing called a bail-in. Do your own research on a bail-in, where the government has the right to say, hey, listen, it's a national emergency. We need the money. We're going to go into the bank account, the savings account of our citizens. and use their money. Yeah, do your own research and be wise. Learn to be a little bit sharper when it comes to managing and maneuvering your finances. See, it's no different than back during the Civil War days, where the troops could ride up on the average Joe farmer and his wife and take their crops, take their cattle, take their warm blankets and say, we need this for the soldiers. Nothing's changed. They don't care about me. They don't care about you. They care about keeping their governmental principles intact, the governmental principles and structure. We're all expendable to them. So again, I just want to be brief here. The lighting's not right with my camera. The resolution, it looks like it's having some issues at this particular moment. But I was determined that nothing was going to stop me from getting this message to you guys, because I love y'all. I don't even know y'all, but I love y'all from a sense of what it means to be a true human. So I don't have to know you in order to love you. I got love in my heart, and wherever I go, that love is there. And it's there whether I have to check somebody and it gets to fisticuff, if it gets a lot worse than fisticuff, if it gets to an argument, a confrontation, I still love you. I keep telling y'all, Jesus wasn't no punk, and he loved everybody as well. But you see what happened when he went in there and the Pharisees and Sadducees got down wrong with him in that temple. The Bible just said he flipped over the table. That's telling you, if you have the eyes to see, he went in there and got down on them. Said he whipped the tables over and tore some things up and threw some stuff around in there. I mean, he went in there and whooped some you know what. And that's not the only time. I got information coming down the pipes about that topic, Christ and who he was and what he really preached and stood for and believed. But hey, listen, be smart about it, man. Don't be putting your money in them banks like that. You put enough money in them banks to get by, do what you need to do. If you got a lump sum of cash, start liquidating it, putting it into different kinds of assets and things that you can hold in your hand. Things that if you imagine what would be needed if the economy collapsed. Protect yourself, protect your family, because if it all collapses, it'll collapse a lot faster than that. And those who aren't prepared is probably the ones who aren't going to make it. And I'm not pushing this prepper lifestyle where you have to have your own food and your own guns and your own clothes and shelter. I'm not pushing that, and I'm not against that either. But what I'm saying is, rely on He up above. He'll provide all of your needs. If it collapses and you need a gun, you'll end up with a gun. If it collapses and you need food, you'll end up with food, and so forth and so on, because He's going to protect those who belong to Him. At the same time, that's no excuse to take the ostrich approach and stick your hand in the sand and not even be aware, not even to be making mental preparations, social preparations, psychological and spiritual preparations, getting your body in the best shape that you can for the just in case. So that's no excuse to neglect any of those things. But this economy is a deck of cards, and when they come off of this lockdown, and that's a whole nother story. A lockdown in the United States, home of the free, land of the brave, where everybody is locked down and enslaved. You locked down in your house. Don't you open your mouth to me or no one else and tell me that you are part of the land of the free and the home of the brave. You're part of the land where you do whatever they say. That's what you are. Obviously, there's some brothers, there's some sisters, both black and white, who this don't apply to, because they've taken the approach similar or likened unto the one that I've taken, which, hey man, I'm a sovereign being. I don't need you for me to do me. I don't need you for me to be me. The golden rule is, as long as you aren't harming anybody, you're not threatening to harm anybody, you're not violating anybody's property, then you can do whatever you want to do as a free human being, as a free child of the one true and living supreme divine power. So this video is getting darker and darker. Not sure what's going on with it. My lighting is acting up. But if you guys are able to hear these words, that's important enough. You don't need to see. You don't need to see my face. If you can hear these words, then you ought to be able to receive this message. So as you guys know, I get passionate about the things that I believe in, the things that I'm committed to. And the next video, I may be a little bit more diplomatic, a little bit more soft-spoken, if you like, a little bit more laid back and chill. But this kind of topic right here is literally a matter of life and death. They playing with the lives of all these kids out here. Kids who depending on their parents to feed them, to clothe them, to protect them. On YouTube, they arrested some guy for being in the park, playing with his daughter in the park. Excuse me. Playing with his daughter in the park. Arrested him in front of his daughter. How ridiculous is that? So they're the one that's threatening people. They're the one that's being, that's violating the law. We have constitutional rights that are our rights regardless. It doesn't say these are your rights, but if we think there's a disease, we can take your rights away. No, that's not what it says. So the people that's violating the Constitution, bold and upfront in our face, want to tell you and I that we should honor that. So I mean, at some point, we got to take the responsibility and realize that we have allowed this to happen. And so if we allowed it to happen, that means we can change it. And you start by self-awareness. And self-awareness says, hey man, anybody out there that's putting the majority or anything close to the majority of their finances into a banking system, as a good book says, a fool and his money will soon part. They're going to part ways every time. So let's not fall into that trap, man. Let us realize the state of this economy and know that with one slip, it could be all over with regards to this economy, and all the things we take for granted could be no more easily. It's getting better gradually now, but just a couple weeks back, they were showing Walmart and Kroger and all these stores that we used to take for granted. You go in there and it's stocked with whatever you want. Well, they gave you a sample right then and there how easily that can be taken away from you. So if you're still counting on this monetary system, you're still counting on the government to come through, then woe unto you. Obviously, the way the system is designed, we can afford to have some money here, some money saved up there in the bank. You know, we oftentimes need to use, different credit cards, debit cards, whatnot. I'm not excluding that. I'm talking to the people who really believe that once they lift the restriction, everything is going back, to bliss in those type of aspects. So that's what I got for y'all, man. That's what again, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. I'm going to do a part 2 on the economy that'll also address the world economy and not just the U.S. economy, even though, as previously stated, they're so intertwined right now, it's basically one. So again, visit the website, treeoflifeoutreach.com. Read the bio. Know that this thing that's often referred to as God is real. Know that it will help you. Know that if you're out to be the best person that you can be from an internal perspective first and then external, if that's the kind of person you are, then this power is in you. You wouldn't be feeling like that. You'd be feeling like the vast majority of people feel, which is they focused on the outer, their physical conditioning, their what's in their bank account, their houses, their cars, all these trinkets, and they get their identification and their meaning and self-value from those things. But if you're one of those people who get your meaning and your self-value from an internal standpoint, how well you're doing, how well you're treating others, then that's the Holy Spirit in you. Whatever you're comfortable referring to it as. I don't care if you're an atheist, whatever it is. If you got a name for it, if you don't have a name for it. If you're out to be the best person you can be from the inside out, then that's this infinite power that's in you, and it wouldn't be in you if it was going to let you down. So it's not going to halfway save you. It's not going to halfway heal you. It's not going to halfway get you to victory. It's going to go all the way. So just keep trusting in it. Keep believing in it. Take your lumps and bruises as they come and keep it moving. That's why I send you guys to the website all the time, because it's to honor He who has sent me, and I bear witness to Him in my own life that He's real. And if He did it for me, He'll do it for you. Ain't nothing extraordinary about me. Absolutely nothing. But what's extraordinary about He that dwelleth in me is everything. So that's what I have for you guys. I don't know all of y'all, but I do love all of y'all. And always remember, if you're feeling bad, go make somebody else feel good, and you'll feel better. I guarantee it. Peace, guys. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me what I can do to improve the channel, and so forth and so on. So peace, and holla back, guys. Thanks.